But being able to do this and to modify it each week is so freeing. The fact that I know I'm gonna draw some lines and use my marker and make it a little bit artistic. I like that.
Well, hello and welcome to the Simply Convivial podcast. Convivial means enjoying life together, and that's the hospitable atmosphere that we want to create in our homes. I'm Mystie Winckler, homemaker, homeschool mom, grandma, who has tried just about every planner method out there. And I want to help you be a competent, cheerful, equipped Christian homemaker. And one way that would help a ton is having a working planner. So today I have on a repeat guest and mentor member from inside Convivial Circle, Rachael Younger. Rachael has been married to her best friend for 19 years and has two wonderful boys that she gets to homeschool. She is a bookish nerd seeking to cultivate plants and people, investing in teen girls and women of all ages. So lately in the community, you've been sharing about how you've gone back to bullet journaling and that it's really working for you. And so I would love to just hear all about it, how you are creating your pages and how often and how that's been working just in the midst of real busy life for you.
Ah, I certainly love the idea of bullet journaling, particularly just that minimalist, that I create the page and I can be as artistic as I want or as simple as I want. And many years ago, I would draw all kinds of things. And I just had a lot of fun. But then it got to the point where it was taking so much time. I abandoned it for a while. But I've gone back to it more recently because of the freedom that it gives me. But within that freedom, I have figured out I have a couple of tools that I always have with me. They're really, really complicated tools. I always have a ruler and my little gray marker
Nice.
because I have a set design that I do. And I honestly, my last 3 journals has been 3 very different kinds of things. This one is a little dollar thing with the dots, pin and gear. They're all covered in stickers. A friend gave me this wonderful stone paper journal. I used that for a while. I use this, which was given to me by a friend, supporting Door International for deaf Bible translation. And that's the thing. It will fit in anything. So it really appeals to my tightwad hearts. People are always giving me notebooks. It's a new semester in youth ministry and they hand out these nice little notebooks. Well, I want to be able to use them. I don't want them to go to waste. So what I have right now, probably the first thing I do every week, and I tend to do this either Friday night while I watch a movie or sometimes Saturday, I draw lines. I like lines. Just for the weekly, I need to see kind of what's coming for the week. I need to slot in my grocery shopping. Um, I need to kind of know when my husband's going to be home and when he's not going to be home. Childcare and all that. So I can go have coffee with someone or not. So, and I like the lines in the lighter color. Not, I love pens. I buy nice pens, the Sharpie gel pens. I love pens. And those give nice black writing. But then with my little gray marker, I can do shadows. I don't even think you can see it very well, but the words are shadowed. And that just feels super artistic to me. It appeals to me. I draw lines and then I take an index card and I have my weekly review steps and I just walk myself through. I sync my calendars between Google Calendar, the family calendar, and then I can write stuff down on here. And then I review my goals, my projects. I am so forgetful. I am very forgetful. I forget all kinds of things. And so I have pages marked. don't forget to go look at those pages. Um, Post-its. I give a spot for my daily card, and it will migrate depending on the season and how I feel. But being able to do this and to modify it each week is so freeing. The fact that I know I'm gonna draw some lines and use my marker and make it a little bit artistic. I like that. But at the same time, I can keep track of all the things. In the back of each one, this is me keeping track of what I spend on food. So I'm gonna
Mm.
figure out each month because my goal is to grow enough food that it reduces our food budget.
Oh,
Um,
keeping track
and
of that information.
I gotta keep track of it. But if I just put it on some random piece of paper or in some random file on my computer, good. I'll never find it again. Or I will in, 10 years. And I don't need that information anymore. I keep my running list back here. I like dividing the 2 columns, just I don't know, it feels manageable not having all the way across. Um, I
And
said
what are all of the Post-it notes we saw on your very back cover?
oh, old daily card. That's where I store old daily cards, and every couple of weeks, it's a little pile of abs, and then I kinda clean it out. On the idea that on my weekly review, I can go back and look at these and see how things went.
Yes.
I love that idea. I'm trying to do that, except for the vast majority of mine all have school, paid work, and one other thing.
Hey.
And this is what most of my daily cards look like
Yep.
when we're in school. If I'm not in school, it's paid work and something else. Um, I like my daily card. It keeps me focused. But and that's the thing. It's the empty post-it note, but I have the structure. I do the 3 little lines, I create the 2 boxes if I need to if it's a project, and I have tasks, I can put those down in a box. You gotta put the date because you know how many things I have that don't have a date on them, and I think, "When did I do this?" I put the date on everything. So what I really and I love the bullet journal because I create the lines and the structure that I need. I started out just keeping track of what I harvested and how much of it. Well, then I started creating, okay, here, now I got the date and it's a little table. Um, the eggs that I get, keeping track of who laid and how many did I get in a day, because I love to collect data. I really do. And
And then it has a home, like you said.
yes, I know where to find it. If I want to go back to last year's, I've learned to write the dates on the outside so it's easy to tell when this is. I do my interval planning on a separate sheet of paper. I have found that because then I can put a whole year's set of interval planning pages together. I can just staple the year together and I've got them all together. And I like this for that day to day, but that bigger picture, I want something that I can organize separately from all of this. So that freedom of structure. But I have the structure. I have a garden journal page that I set up for most weeks. And I just go from that weekly spread, I go to the next page and I draw more lines. I I love using a ruler to draw lines. It just if there's beauty in it. I love it. This is not exactly the spread that I have earlier. Let me find you an earlier one. It doesn't look quite the same. I decided I am going to start keeping track of temperature. I am going to, modify this and I want more room here and less room there. And that really is the beauty of taking just an empty notebook, it really speaks to that part of me that hates throwing things away and wants to use things to their uttermost and spend as little money on these things so that I can spend that money on something else. I just need a notebook and I can make it work and I can draw my line. There's something about those days. We were traveling earlier in the summer and we got back on a Friday and I turned around and left for youth camp on Monday. And that's just disorienting to have Saturday and Sunday at home and then you're gone again. So when I got back from that, having to reorient myself to the daily workings here and oh yes, hubby went grocery shopping last week, but what do we need this week? I see what the things he made last week. What can I start making this week? And just with all of that, just a lot of decisions to make. Having the kind of procedure list
Mhm.
together, um, it brings focus. And that's usually when because I'm all over the place.
So then on your weekly spread, your weekly dashboard there, you're drawing the lines during your weekly review and filling
Mhm,
in some things from your calendar. And
mhm.
then how about day to day using it? What does that look like?
This for and the cheap notebooks are nice because they open up to where you last kind of were. Um, that's where my daily card is super useful. I look at kind of what's going on here. When we're in school, when I have work, I know what I gotta do. I know what kind of space I have. If I have time and I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed or I have 15 minutes and that's what I got, you turn this on its side and you create your little time budget schedule just on the page. And I
Mhm.
have the freedom to be able to do that because I start with an empty page.
Mhm.
Um, I actually, this last week, I wasn't thinking and I drew my lines all the way across. So it gives me a daily slot, which can be very nice. Often this is just an empty column on this side. And that's just nice because I can just make lists and add things. I tend to put my weekly top three underneath the index card, not the index card, the post-it note. Um, so that when I'm pulling out a new post-it note, I'm looking at this as I'm
Mhm.
putting it on, just to remember what are my important things this week? What are the things I know I need to spend time on?
And so what's that second page there with the lots of grids?
This one, I am working hard to develop this habit, is that evening review.
Mm.
So, gotta have the date because we always have the date. And then the first one is what did I do today? And then what did I learn today? What am I thankful for? And I added a column that I don't always fill in, but how should I iterate?
Oh.
Because every now and then something happens, particularly in these something I learned today, like, oh, things work this way. I need to, and I can make a note of it. And there's just something about writing it down that helps spur the thoughts, helps me think through, even just writing down, okay, I need to do this. I can do my meal plan in here if I want to. I have space to brain dump. I know we're supposed to be able to throw our brain dumps away. My little tightwad pack rat heart says, and I wrote it down. Um, I'm getting there. I have at times had routines that I would write out. And I believe one of these pages, I think, I had a spot where I was writing out my routines. Like, okay, my morning routine, I want to do this, this, and this. And I marked the page and I used, other colored markers to create little borders around it because makes it stand out and it's fun. I will keep track of books I think I want to read.
So about how long does your weekly review take drawing everything out?
Probably about 15 minutes.
Wow.
15, maybe 20 if I'm trying to watch the movie at the same time. Um, I know about how many lines each day needs to be,
Mhm.
and I tell you, I'm not freehanding lines. I d that takes much longer when you freehand the lines. You can let it take longer if you want to, and you can get super artistic and
Right. Well, I think sometimes that is just overcomplicating it, and that's why bullet journaling, like, can sound great, but then not
yeah,
working because it takes too much time.
takes too much time. And you have this is where knowing oneself can be very important. I love the idea of having to do a doodle for each day. That is not a good idea for me because I will sit and think for 30, 45 minutes and not come up with something to doodle. Um, so you just have to learn and to accept your own limitation. I love the idea of drawing all these things. I'm not very good at it, and I just gotta accept that.
Yeah, and when you have a routine that just takes 15 to 20 minutes, there's no excuse for not fitting that in. It's not like, "Oh, well, I don't
Yeah.
have half an hour to sit at the table."
And when you have people who always need something, it needs to be made fairly short.
This episode is a part of our Organize October challenge happening right now. And this week is all about planning your week. So, whether you do a bullet journal, a pre printed planner, or any other option, you need these top 3 tips for making your weekly view planner, your weekly dashboard, work for you. I've got those for you right here.